What's happening, Blades? So, welcome to the international break, which, to be fair, if you're not like me, I'm not bothered about England. They're alright. I'll follow them, I support them half-heartedly. But for me, club football is where it's at. So, during these international breaks, I'm pacing, I'm just roll on Norwich for me. I'm going to do a Norwich preview close to time. The reason I'm jumping on and doing one this week rather than next is I'm hoping that next week we might have some sort of clarity on the takeover position. I might be wrong on that, but I've got end of March in my head as a sort of a soft deadline. It might be an actual deadline, but for some reason I think we're going to hear something before end of month, because it's gone on long enough. So I'm hoping that before we play Norwich, I have another video out talking to you about it. The thing is, the way I go with it is, if we don't hear anything by then, I'll start to think it's not happening because it's just gone on too long. What I wanted to talk about today was contracts. So being under a transfer embargo doesn't only affect your transfer activity in terms of player trading in January. It also means you can't negotiate any new deals with your existing squad. So at the moment, we're unable, even if we wanted to talk to the players about new deals, which is quite, not only frustrating, but it's quite concerning. And I know that, obviously, who we offer a new deal to will depend on what division we're in. And I've done a previous video on a Championship squad and a Premier League squad and what they might look like if depending on what league we're in. That might be one that we revisit at some stage. But this one really is just to clarify where the contract position is of the current squad. So it's not who I want to retain. It's not this is who we should release. It's just nuts and bolts. These are the expiry dates on the players' contracts, essentially. So if we can't renew, you've got to think some of these players are on big wages. And I haven't got into figures in terms of how much they're on, because I think it's very much speculative. Any information you find on that, you'll find a range between. It's hard enough finding expiry dates of some of these contracts. So the information I've got is from Transfer Market. And again, I'm not sure how up to date it is, but it seems to be a fairly reliable source that I've visited on several occasions, to be fair. So, just so we're aware, at the end of this season, we have got a lot of players out of contract. And some of you will say it's good that, we get a chance to reset and go again. And to be honest, with some of the players that are out of contract, I would tend to agree. The one caveat I will say is, no matter how accurate Transfer Market is in terms of what the current agreement is, it doesn't state whether we've got a 1-year extension clause, and the club are usually very keen on inserting those into players' contracts, but then clearly, for the right reasons, don't vocalise which ones they've done. So we don't truly know whether these are a hard end at the end of the year, or whether there's an option to extend by a year in the club's favour. So I'm going to go in reverse order with this. The player with the longest contract at our club, which is great news for us, Anel Ahmedhodzic, 2026, his contract expires. We've got him for another 3 years after this season. As I say, I don't even know whether we've got a further year's extension in that, which we usually like to do. But he's been a huge asset for us this year. I'm not convinced we won't be entertaining bids for him if we stay down, and then it's up to the club really whether they cash in, because we've got Basham there as a backup who's seen as a reliable understudy. I would question that when he's 33, 34 next season. But yeah, Anel tied down to 2026, fantastic. Brewster is the next longest contract. 2025 his contract expires. Now that obviously is, he'll be on big money. That's a big controversial transfer. that we brought in, it hasn't really worked if we're right, and I think it's been stop-start, mostly due to injury, but there were a long time where he went without scoring, just starting to find form and got injured again, really unfortunate. How about this for an idea? If we go up to the Premier League and we do decide to go for Gyökeres, I think there'll be a lot of suitors in for him. What about 20 mil plus Brewster on a season-long loan to Coventry? They will need a striker. They'll have 20 million in their pocket from us, but we know that they're a club that's very sort of tightly run. A few money issues. It would mean they don't have to sell anybody else. They'd still get a quality striker. We know that he can perform at that level. And then if all else fails and we slide and we come back down and get relegated, we've still got another year of him as our player. It's just an idea. I don't think if we're in the Premier League that he'll get much of a sniff, because I'd hope that we'd be strengthening that position. I think that works out for all parties personally. 2024, the dodgy 1 year left. What do we do? Do we let you run your contract down? Do we gamble? Do we, there's some big names with contracts expiring in less than 18 months at the moment. First one is Adam Davis. I thought he was signed up only till the end of this season. He's not. He's signed a 2-year deal in last summer. So it means he's with us whether we're promoted or we stay in the Championship. Now, for me, that's quite good, thinking about it, because every Premier League squad tends to have 3 goalkeepers. And we have as well, to be fair. But if we're in the Premier League, I think he'll be number 3 goalkeeper, because I think we'll improve that position. If we're in the Championship, I think he'll stay as number 2. So I don't mind that at all with Adam Davis. Bash, as we've mentioned, he's got a deal to 2024. That takes him to 10 years service with United. Absolute legend. Hopefully gets a testimonial at the end of that. Deserves everything, as he's been a fantastic servant for us. I just don't think he's quite up to it anymore, but he's with us till 2024. John Egan, who hasn't had his best season, if we're honest. Played very well in flashes, but also looked uncharacteristically uncomfortable at times. Yes, he's had to play with different players and Bash on his left and different player, Kai Gordon on his right at times. Hopefully we're settling now with a back 3, although I'd like to see Kieran Clark in there, as we know. But yeah, John Egan's contract, unless he's got this extra year that we don't know about, currently set until 2024. Other players of interest, 2024 contracts: George Baldock, Max Lowe, Reece Norrington-Davis, who I'm hoping for a big season next year. I'd like to see some of these players get extended if we were to be promoted. Reece and Georgie Baldock being a couple. John Egan I would extend as well. I'd also extend Jayden Bogle, whose contract currently expires in 2024. Sander Berge, the big talking point. We all know that he's only got a year left at the end of the season. And the star boy, Iliman. Iliman's contract allegedly runs out at the end of next season. If we have got a cheeky year's extension in the back pocket, that could have been best business the club's ever done, really. Because what is he going to be worth, particularly if we go up? And there's even talk about him willing to sign a new contract if we're promoted, so we can only hope. So now we get to the crunch. These are the players that are out of contract at the end of this season. So these are the players that don't know the future beyond this season, and you have to ask yourself, is this affecting any of the performances? Certainly with recent upturn, you'd think not, with a couple of them, but some names you might think, maybe. Wes is the first one to know. I don't know if we've got a year's option on Wes. I don't know if we've got a year's option on any of these. As I say, you have to take it with a pinch of salt, but in terms of hard and fast contracts where it could definitely end this season, Wes, our current number 1. the sad case of Jack O'Connell. I've already put my case forward. I would like to see Jack O'Connell offered a coaching role at the club with a first refusal if he's to be given the green light to play again. We've heard that he's in light training, very light training, and still some way away, but kicking a ball again, which is progress that we had reported on for some time. Really positive updates, but you never know where he's going to land in terms of what he can give after 2 years out of the game. Jack Robinson, the great divider, who, you can't sit on the fence with Jack Robinson. Nobody thinks Jack Robinson is just all right, do they? They either think he's brilliant or useless. I think you know where I fall on it. I think he has flashes of being brilliant. Brilliant's a stretch, but he's had some standout performances. But I'm never convinced. And if we're promoted, I don't think he's good enough for the Premier League. That's my opinion. Enda Stevens, and I'll pair him together with Johnny Fleck. Absolute legends of the football club. Been with us 4 or 5 years now. Huge success stories. But their time is up, I think, unfortunately. And I think both of them will leave in the summer, and I think that's the right decision. I would also say the same for Ben Osborne. I know Eki seems to like him. I think it helps there is a utility man that can do a little bit of everything, or, do whatever you ask of him, really. Left wing back, even right wing back, centre midfield. They've tried him in a 10 this season. I'm sure he'd play as a winger if we played that system. He's not for me, I'm afraid. I think he's a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none. And that's okay in the Championship, but if he's not a regular in our 11 for the Championship, then he's certainly not a Premier League player if we're promoted, so he don't make my squad. Koulibaly, who's someone I missed out on my original video, which I should have gone back to be honest, and I'd have him in for Fleck instead. I think if we don't go up, Koulibaly gets another year. I think if we do go up, we consider offering him a contract to see, test the waters really. Might even be another loan, because I don't think he's ready for Premier League football. But if we offer him a couple of years and we loan him out to either the Championship or a decent level of football, and he picks up and recaptures that form that got AC Milan interested, then who knows? Who knows where he could go? I'm putting my neck on line here, but thank you for everything, Billy Sharp. But I'm not renewing Billy's contract. I would love to see him, whether he's in the squad or not, and I think he probably will be on the bench, but whether he's in the squad or not, I think he should lead us out at Wembley. And what a fantastic story it'd be to be part of the squad that got us back to the Premier League again. I think that's an amazing legacy to leave. He's been an unbelievable captain, an unbelievable goal scorer for us. Just a fantastic player, probably one of the best finishers ever in a United shirt, if not the best. But I think at 37, he's not going to cut it in Prem, and I don't even think he's cutting it at Championship level at the moment, if I'm brutally honest. So thank you for everything, Billy. It's certainly not, a personal issue. I love everything he's done for us, but I think it's time he moved on. Then we come to question marks. McBurney is the only one that I'm convinced he's got a year's extension. So I think McBurney will be with us next year. I think we'll exercise that option on McBurney. Norwood, I'm not sure. I don't think we've got an option on Norwood, but I think we need to re-sign him no matter what league we're going to be in. It might be down to him. If we're in Championship, we probably won't be able to offer him his wages that he's on now, certainly not if we're cutting costs. So it's interesting to see where we go with that. But he's not in the side at the moment, but he's a different level. He's an absolute different level when he's on. And we're a better team when he's playing well. The other two that's question marks over him that need to be signed up, and I don't think will be an issue either league that we're in unless some big hitters come sniffing, is Jebo and Will Asula. Both at the moment scheduled to have the contracts run out at the end of the year, but these are two that I'd be amazed if we didn't have an option on, because we've not heard anything about them. We've not heard anything about, teams sniffing around, and you'd think for two young prospects like that who are coming to the end of the contract, teams would be interested. So that is our list of who's at a significant number of players that we can't negotiate with yet, which is, concerning. But as I say, I'm hoping to have an update next week, if not sooner, about the takeover. You'll have seen that Dozy has recently brought in Deloitte, the renowned accountancy firm, to go over his numbers. He's hired them in so that they can produce a full financial report on him, and I assume relay that to the AFL in terms of their findings. That's a huge positive step for me. I think that's him saying, look, nothing's off the table. I'm an open book. There you go. You have a look and you see where I'm getting my money from. I think it's a positive step in the right direction. So we can only hope for that. The only other thing I'd say is I got the chance to watch the under-21s game today. Blades against Burnley under-21s. We're top of the under-21 league by some distance, and if we win it this year, it'll be the third year on bounce, which just further demonstrates how strong our youth team is. But have a look at this Burnley team that we were up against today. So that's Howard Bellis, who's at one stage was being talked about as the best defender in the Championship as he returns from injury. They've got Benson in there. They've got Bastian. They've got Charlie Taylor. Loads of first team names, essentially. There's 4 or 5 first teamers in there. 4-0, we beat them. 4-0. And it didn't flatter us. We were the better team throughout. And the young lads that were on display today give me real confidence in the future. Even if we stayed, obviously, we all want to go up. There will be potential financial ruin if we don't go up. However, the foundation that this club is built on in terms of the youth and what's coming through, I thought everybody from Dewhurst in goal, whose reflexes looked fantastic, he stayed on his feet for a one-on-one and got down and rescued the ball. He tipped over a Scott Twine. Scott Twine were playing, free kick specialist. Tipped one of his top bins efforts from a free kick over the bar. He was superb. His distribution was great. Left foot, right foot. Really good prospect in goal. Kai Gordon looked really good, really comfortable. He scored. Freckleton on left centre half looks a really good prospect. Ender did 45 minutes, so he's back in contention. I didn't think he looked great, to be honest, but it is what it is. Sachdev, who looks like a bit of a raw George Baldock in where he plays, not quite up to the standards, but also possesses a long throw. Sachi long throw. So there you go, there's immediate replacement already. We had Ollie Arblaster. We were playing Championship, Duffy promotion season formation where we've got a number 10, a Duffy. So we had Arblaster and Siddy Peck, who were captain, in the middle, who are just superstars waiting to happen. Listen, that's me getting overexcited about them, but they're just so composed, so classy, even at that level at under 21s, but they will make the step up sooner rather than later. Louis Marshall in the 10, I'll come back to him. Hackford, I thought, looked a bit patchy, to be honest, but he's been out for 11 months with an injury. And Will Asula were a class act. Got 2 goals, looked dangerous every time he were on ball. You can tell he's now involved in first team because he deserves to be. Really good from Asula. But do not sleep on Louis Marsh. Another assist and a goal today. He's got something like 7 in last 8, playing in that 10 role. He can play 10 or up front. And today, he just caused all sorts of problems. He's not one that's been mentioned an awful lot, but he's quietly had probably the best season out of the majority at 21s who were top of the league by a country mile. So all is not lost if we, even if things appear to have gone the worst possible way this season, when we look back on it, we were second for so long, and then if we don't do it, the club will carry on, as it always does. But I don't think there's, I think there's a bright future for a lot of these players, and you can only imagine how much that'll benefit further if we do get promoted and if we up the standards of our academy and the facilities that are there to bring youth players through. So keep the faith, Blades. Let me know what you think about those out-of-contract players. Who should we be re-signing? Or do you scrap the majority of them, no matter what league we're in, and start again? Because they'll be on big money, them lads, particularly them that always in Prem, which is majority. What would you do? Let me know. I'm interested to hear. Thanks again for your continued support. It's always appreciated. Come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blade!